Questions?
And it felt like we're kind of in the same spot we were when we had this discussion last week. You know, you kind of seem to take a step forward, not to finish, obviously.
Right.
You seem to take a step forward, and you take maybe 2 steps back on Saturday. You're kind of still trying to find that momentum, still trying to carry
Yes.
that one.
Yeah, and I mean, we just got to try to find a turnaround, and you got to stay positive. You know, it's easy to walk around and be proud when things are going right. The hardest thing to do is to keep your head up, keep shoulders up, keep trusting, keep believing, keep showing faith, working hard, doing those things when things aren't going the way that you expect or want them to go. And so that's what we have to do. And probably the biggest challenge for all of us has been just trying to get them all on the floor at the same time. We keep going through, you know, I'm not telling who they are, but I got 3 of them that aren't able to practice today. 3 of them that I need on the floor. And so that's just been a challenge game by game. It's not been always the same one. And so we're just dealing with a lot of stuff that's off the court that affects it on the court. And like I said all along, everybody's got stuff they got to deal with. We've just not handled it in such a way that we've been able to overcome it. And so you don't get down. You got to keep, you know, it's, what's the quote? Success isn't final, failure isn't fatal, getting up or continuing to work, something like that. That's what we got to do. We got to keep believing, keep faith, keep trusting, keep working, and then things turn back around.
You kind of answered it a little bit. Maybe it has to do with the issues you're going through right now. But I noticed, you know, last week you kind of jumbled the lineup up a little bit. You changed the starters.
Right.
I mean, you feel like you're trying to maybe push buttons to find ways to get
That's
or
a good point.
A combination of both.
That's exactly right. That's what I'm going to say. It's a great observation. It's a good point. There's more than just one aspect to all decisions, and so some of it was based on just performance and practice performance, and some of it was based on health, and so we do some of those things just to try to make things better, to find that turnaround so that we can get that momentum back, so that we can finish the end of the season strong and really have positive momentum going into the conference tournament. That's the goal.
A week at home, that's got to be a good place as any to try to start that momentum and the ball rolling the right way.
Yeah, we've had stretches at home. I'm not sure that's the difference. I think the difference is,
in general, I mean, if it's
yeah,
going to come anytime, this is a good time.
yeah, you'd rather be at home with familiar surroundings and with our fans than on the road. Absolutely. But we've shot the ball okay on the road, and we've shot the ball poorly at home as well. And so I'm not sure that that's the only remedy, but it certainly is better to be at home in Diddle Arena.
Kind of taking it back to last week, obviously, Thursday on the road at Sam Houston.
Yep.
I mean, I was watching that game. There was 3 different times throughout the game that you all were up by 18 points. And, you know, you're up by 18, you can get down a little bit. And we saw that just with being up 18 in that fourth quarter and then only having one made basket and 3-pointer within the last 7
Right.
or so minutes of the game. Next thing you know, you're in overtime. Sam Houston caught a huge spark behind the arc that could not be stopped, and
Right.
then obviously you end up losing by 6. So just whenever you are up so much in a game like that, just kind of reiterating the fact that you can't let off the gas, because whenever you do, stuff like that kind of happens.
Yeah, well, yes, you're exactly right. No, but it's really as much or more about decision making in those situations. In the first 4 possessions of the fourth quarter, we scored. All 4 of those possessions were assisted baskets. All 4 of those shots were players on balance, under control, finishing good shots. The next 4 shots were all individual plays, one-on-one. We didn't score on any of those. We got 1 foul, went to free throw line 1 time. That's as much about decision making as it is either keeping your foot on the gas. And some of those shots were 21 seconds on the shot clock. You've got an 18-point lead. You're on the road, and your point guard has been beyond sick, and so we've got a lot of, and then Odie Bencourt couldn't play. She had a hamstring issue, and so sometimes it's just about understanding the situation of the game. And so we talk about that, but then sometimes we get out there and we make different decisions. But yes, that was frustrating, beyond frustrating, to be in that situation and not be able to just to put the game away, get on the bus, and move on down the road. And so, but hopefully we'll learn from that, and the next time we're in that situation, we'll make better choices. And we've done in the past, for example, at Jacksonville State, Casey Hayes wasn't able to make the trip. She had the stomach flu and had to stay home. And we kind of got in a similar situation where we had a fairly large lead and just kind of did a good job of just running the clock out and getting back. And so we didn't, the difference in those two situations was Lexi Mead was on the floor for the entire fourth quarter, well, pretty much the whole game. We used timeouts to rest her, and so I think that helped us a lot there. But, you know, hopefully we'll learn from that and make better decisions the next time we're in that situation.
I know that we're about halfway point, I guess you could say, of conference play.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you have your girls that you can depend on, and with some of them being out, you have to go deeper into your
Mm-hmm.
bench. And I know it gets to a point to where there's quick turnarounds and not as much practice time in between games and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, but are you kind of reiterating to those girls who are deeper on the bench, like, we got to get you in here and we got to get the work done, because whenever your number's called, I expect you to come out here.
But that's a great point, and that's one of the big reasons. You know, you could just compare, you know, some teams in our conference don't play the bench. They'll play players 35, 36 minutes, regardless of the score. And I've always played the bench with the idea that it's that next man up. You got to be ready, and how do you expect someone to be ready if they don't get some opportunities? And so we've done this even back in Southern Utah when we were up 20 at Southern Utah. We've played those players. We've just not quite gotten to the point where we're ready to take that next step and really say, okay, Lexi's 6, I've got this, I can take this. And so we're still in that growing or learning development phase with our bench. And so we've still got work to do right there. I think they're going to get it. I think they're going to come along, but we're not there yet.
Is there a player that's close to that next step level that's on the bench that you see has
Well,
possibility?
as opposed to bench, I would just say youth. You know, you got young players, and I think the closest one is obviously Caitlin Staley, and so she's growing and learning, getting better, and she's showing moments. You know, there's moments like all freshmen. There's moments where she really looks like she's ready, and then there's moments where she looks like a freshman, and she'll get 3 fouls in a minute and a half, and she gets frustrated with that. But that's the other part of learning, is just being able to get to that next play. And we stopped in practice one day, and Lillian was in there, and I got frustrated with her because she missed a shot, and instead of getting it, and there was nobody there, she could have got it, put it right back in. So we stopped them. We ran sprints because I said, I don't care if you missed 9 shots, get 9 rebounds and put the last one in. And so since then, she's kind of gotten a lot more tenacity about, and worried less about, I missed it, and worried more about that next play, and just really trying to get her to move on to that next play. And so I think the other freshmen, you know, Nevaeh Foster and Mackenzie and Jalen, they're going to get it. They're coming along. It's just that when, you know, the lights get on and the other team's more experienced, it's still a little bit of pressure there. And so I think that as they get more comfortable, they'll be able to help more.
Louisiana Tech's obviously the last team that you haven't seen in conference.
Right.
First time through. I know you look at their record, you look, they're having a tough time, but they were a pretty good team last year,
Yes.
and a lot of those kids are still there.
Yes.
Certainly, you know, the challenge kind of they had here Wednesday night.
And they played Middle Tennessee to overtime at home. And so it's like a lot of teams in this conference that their record really doesn't reflect on how competitive they can be in this conference. And so, yeah, I think Louisiana Tech's as good as anybody in this conference, whether clearly Middle Tennessee's, you know, stepped ahead of everyone else. But it doesn't matter if it's Liberty or New Mexico State. I think on any given night, somebody can be really good. And that indication is Louisiana Tech played Middle Tennessee in overtime. And they had some good shots even in the fourth quarter. They just missed them.
I mean, obviously, the answer is never. As a coach, you never want. But if you're going to have to go through kind of the funk you guys are at right now, is it better to have it now and have yourself like a month to prepare you to get ready for the tournament to get your way out of it than it would be?
So when's a good time to stink? That's what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's gonna happen, I feel like from a coaching standpoint, you have to feel like.
You don't want it the
at least
week.
You got a little bit of time to still stir the ship right.
You don't want it the week before you go to
Right.
conference tournament. Sure, I think my preference, if we're going to pick a learning phase, I'd rather it be during the non-conference. I'd rather play really tough teams non-conference, get that figured out where your weaknesses are, where you've got to get better, and then get to conference and really be a lot more consistent. I think some of this is our own, is our doing, but some of it's just kids getting sick, kids getting injured, things like that happen. And so now the part that as a coach, as the team, we didn't have the depth that we need. And so I think there's a lot of teams like that in the country, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't, their situations, that doesn't affect ours. But we needed that depth. And that's why. And especially playing the way that we like to play, we need that depth. And we just not quite got that developed to really be able to pick up those minutes where, if a Casey is out, or if Lexi's out, or if Odie's injured. And so that's still something that we've got to add more to. We've got to be a deeper team.
So you got a pink wristband on, it's pink out game.
That's right.
Is that part of the pink out? Or?
Well, it will be. My little girl made this. She makes me all kinds of these. She calls them fishtail bracelets. I really don't know what they are, but there you go. So you guys, if you tell her now, you'll be her favorite now. That'll be it. You and Taylor Swift. That'll be it. And so, but it is, and we're not playing well. We're not shooting the ball well. We're inconsistent right now. But the last thing you want to do is tuck your tail, run. And what I'm leading up to is there's people that face real problems, real challenges. And so if nothing else, we could learn from them, because sometimes you don't have a chance. My mom went through that. She didn't have a chance, but to get up and face it. And so that's what I'm trying to get the team to realize, is like, you don't just, because things don't go your way, that doesn't mean you just pack up tent and quit. You don't quit. And that's when you need the most faith, the most belief, the most trust, the most, and you just continue to put one step in front of the other and keep working hard and want that turnaround. And that's it. And so, yeah, we're looking forward to our pink game and doing our little part to support or move that ball forward for all the people that have been through that.